Hey guys, Gavin here with Red Hen Racing. One of our guys just bought his first bike, and in talking to him about it, it occurs to me that there's some things that as a new rider you may not know that you don't know. So I've been riding for about 20 years myself across dozens of different bikes, all different styles and types and sizes, and I feel like I know a thing or two because I've done a thing or two. So I want to share with you a few of my top tips for new riders. Now, like any other machine, motorcycles require some maintenances. Now, forgetting to change your oil or anything, that's not going to hurt you. There is one main maintenance on a bike that you, as a rider, actively need to be aware of every time you go to get on it, and that's your chain. There's other types of drives, there's shafts and belts and stuff, but odds are that your first bike is going to be chain drive. It's what most bikes are in general, and it's generally what the less expensive bikes are, so you're probably going to have a chain drive, and that's just a chain that connects the engine to the rear wheel. This chain needs a certain amount of slack. As it wears, and especially with a brand new bike or chain, that chain expands, it stretches. If it stretches too far and you get too much slack, you run the very real risk of that chain hopping off of either the front or rear sprocket. So being able to check and adjust that chain tension every single time you get on it is the single most important thing that you need to do. Take it to the dealer for oil changes, air filters, anything else that you feel you're not capable of. But this is a thing you need to know how to do. And you don't need anything dumb or expensive. You just need one of these. I've had this rack for like 15, 20 years. Harbor Freight. It was $30 when I bought it. I'll find you a link for what it is these days. Let me show you how it works. So basically these two pads here are going to go under your swing arm right in front of the sprocket. Swoop it under there, set it to the right distance apart, and then you push down. That gets your rear wheel off the ground. This stand makes it so much easier to be able to clean your chain and sprockets. Instead of having to roll the bike along a foot at a time, you have complete free use of it now, so you can clean and lube your chain properly. As far as what to use for that, I'm a big fan of Chain Wax and their associated brand of Chain Clean. As far as actually tensioning it properly, most of them are going to have an axle nut. And these guys right here, I'm sure there's a name for them too, but you're going to loosen that. You're going to tighten these on each side accordingly. And that applies to like 90% of bikes. Assuming that you've bought something brand new, you've got an owner's manual, and you're going to have a toolkit that has the tools for that specific job. And you need to do this regularly, because if that chain gets too loose and hops off of a sprocket, it can lock your rear wheel up at whatever speed you're going. So you don't want to be running down the highway and your rear tire just get mechanically locked with nothing that you can do about it. It can also cause damage to the engine cases if the chain gets jimmy jammed up around the front sprocket. So it's a really big deal. I don't often tout a lot about safety type stuff, but that'll give you a really bad day. Let's go ahead and have our mandatory safety brief. You should wear all the gear all the time. Jacket, riding pants, boots, helmet, gloves. You should. You should. We've got that out of the way. I told you you should. Wear all the gear all the time. You're not gonna. You're not gonna. I know you. We've known each other for 3 minutes and it's like looking in a fucking mirror. You're not going to wear all the gear all the time. It's going to be too hot for the jacket. You're going to forget your gloves. You can't afford the boots. And those are things that happen in real life. No. If I'm running down to the corner store, I'm not putting my boots on. I will absolutely wear my riding Crocs. It'd be like that. You are, assumedly, an adult. And you're responsible for your own well-being and safety-related practices. I'm not your real dad, I can't tell you what to do. But I will tell you that one thing you'll never catch me leaving the house without is gloves. Most accidents on bikes are just the rider laying themselves down, no other parties involved. And most injuries in those accidents are to the foot/ankle and hands. Because those are the things you're gonna stick out to try to catch yourself when you fall. You're a child. We're all children. That's just a basic childlike instinct. Yep. Put your hands out to catch yourself. You will fuck your hands up. Concrete and asphalt at any speed and under a heavy load when you're trying to catch your own body weight and the weight of a bike, you will absolutely destroy your hands. Google human crayon if you're feeling ballsy, but like not on a work computer. And I actually have several different gloves depending on what I'm doing. These are my dailies. These are from Saints of Speed. I like them because they're comfy, they're lightweight. They have a good palm. I think they're technically meant for motocross purposes, but they've got a bunch of different styles. I like them. If I know that I'm on the way out to do some sketchy shit, these right here are great. These are full gauntlet, armored knuckles and all. And something like this is going to be the most protective. It's also the most restrictive and least comfortable, and they can be pretty expensive. But that is the protection you want. If you're doing the safety thing, these are the ones you want. We said that. We said it. We said the safety thing. Do the safe thing. I told you that. Most of the time, I'm wearing these thin boys that are pretty comfortable. Some good skid protection on the palms is most of what I look for. They're a lot less expensive because of it. They're a lot more comfortable. If it's really cold, cheat code, Harley Davidson gloves. I've never ridden a Harley in my life, but they got some comfy gear. These are very comfy and warm. So you'll want a couple of different sets probably for different purposes. And that leads us up to my third point. The ability to adapt to changing weather conditions is a big deal that you don't have to think about when you drive a car. But on a bike, you're very much more subject to those conditions. So, for example, when you go to buy a helmet, you might think, oh, that tinted visor is cool. And if that's the only visor that you have, you might have a bad time at night because of it. Something instead like having a clear visor and a couple of sets of sunglasses. That's my preference. Unless I know for a fact that I'm going to be going to and coming back during just daylight hours, I usually don't run that tinted visor. Instead, I'll have a clear visor, some sunglasses, maybe 2 or 3 pairs of varying shades. Sun glare in your face is a thing that you don't think about so much in a car. And if you do, boy, wait until you get on a bike, because it's gonna annoy you good. Most car windshields have a coating that blocks most UVA and UVB. Even if it's not tinted, it still has a coating that blocks most of that and helps with oncoming glare from direct sunlight. You don't get that on a bike, and you don't get that with a clear visor on a helmet. Getting caught out riding into the sun in your face with no eye protection is really annoying, especially when you're on a bike where you're more susceptible to significant hazards if you need to shun away from the bright thing for a second or two. You don't want to have to do that. Something as basic as that, having eye protection for varying conditions, as well as gloves for differing conditions, that's the move. I also recommend frog togs for if you get caught out in some rain. Frog togs are a great, inexpensive option for being able to just stop under an overpass and throw them on real quick. It's just a really lightweight, waterproof suit. That's all it is. Being able to have these differing things on you at all times, if you're using this as a daily rider and not just a fun weekend tripper, like if you're actually commuting on one every day, you've got to be adaptable. Oh, but Gavin, where am I going to put all these things? Get some storage, nerd. This is my daily rider slash commuter slash touring bike. I have a top box that I put my backpack and my hard hat in on the way to job sites. And I also have a big dumb tank bag. This is where I keep those gloves and a neck fleece. Neck fleece. That's good for if you get caught out in the cold. Those varying sunglasses, that all lives in here. Even if you don't feel like carrying extra gear on you, as this big girl is good for, I recommend having something. You may be comfortable wearing a backpack for whatever your given ride is, but I'm typically riding a couple hours at a time, and I can tell you a backpack gets very old. Something small like this, just to be able to put a few things in, is nice. I do this fun thing where I get anxious about things falling out of my pockets. It's never happened, never given me any indication that it was going to happen, but, you know, as soon as the existentials say, hey, what if? They've got you, and you have to do the thing now. So, I empty my pockets every time I ride, and something like this Cortec Mini is a great place to just be able to throw phone, wallet, keys, zip them up, safe, done. They can't go anywhere. And speaking of phone, If you're interested in having your phone mounted and visible, you may have seen these RAM mounts that you just kind of squeeze it open and slide your thing in there and it holds it like that. Yeah, fun fact, this is not very secure. That pops out. And it'll pop out on the highway. Ask me how I fucking know. I used to exclusively use one of these RAM mounts, this exact one. And it is now delegated specifically to just being used inside of cars, mounted on windshield and stuff for GPS. Not anywhere out in the open that's going to be very inconvenient and or expensive when it lets go. Throw it in the trash. Much better than that, quad lock. This guy is super sturdy. It's actually using a RAM ball mount. So if you already have a RAM mount, you can just get the adapters to be able to use a quad lock on there. Super adaptable and adjustable. I also run the vibration dampener, and here's what that looks like. You'll get a proprietary phone case that has this locking deal on the back of it, and it just, boop, just like that. But it's super secure. This is not going anywhere. You can't pull it off. It's not going anywhere unless you undo that locking tab. That's it. Boop. I recommend that you don't have to learn that several $100 lesson the way that I did. Get you a quad lock, skip the RAM mounts. And last but not least, daily upkeep, keeping it clean. It is incredibly rare to need to do a full, like, soapy bucket and water hose style wash on a bike. Unless you're messing around in some mud or something, I've literally never needed to do that. Just regular daily riding, it's doing too much. Get you a bottle of a good, quick detailer. We really like this one from Chemical Guys. Been using it for a long time. All you need is just a decent microfiber and a quick detailer. See, this thing's pretty dusty and dirty. Now it's not. It's as simple as that. You don't need to do a whole wash and wax type deal every time you go out. If you want to just be able to clean up, get a little more presentable before you hit the street, this is the way to go. And we've been using Chemical Guys stuff specifically for a long time. Finally partnered with them, so if you want to give this a try, we got a link in the description so you can tell them we sent you. A thing not to do if you're coming from keeping a car clean and like show ready, you might use tire shine. Please do not fucking do that on a bike. Putting tire shine on the tires has absolutely documentedly caused accidents from tires sliding out. On a bike, you need all the lateral grip that you can get. And if you shine the edges of your tire, it will creep up onto the tread. Do not do it. And that's it. That's all I've got for you today. Just a quick rant about some things that you might not have thought of. If you found any of this useful or insightful at all, or if you want to know why that one is on a tender, or if you're interested in GTI stuff, or Miata stuff, or the Rally Supra, feel free to subscribe. If you have any input, any questions, comments, concerns, you know where to put them down in the comments. And until next time, thanks for stopping by. We love you, and we'll see you next time.
Hey, go faster.